In the frozen halls of Winterfell, a boy was born who would grow into a man of unshakable honor. A man who stood for truth in a world built on lies. This is the complete story of Eddard Stark, Warden of the North, Hand of the King, and the man whose death changed the fate of Westeros forever. Today we'll journey through his life, his triumphs, his tragedies, and the legacy he left behind. This is the complete lore of Ned Stark. Chapter 1. Birth and Stark Heritage. Eddard Stark, more widely remembered as Ned, was born in the year 263 AC at Winterfell, the heart of the North and the seat of House Stark for thousands of years. Winterfell was more than stone walls and cold courtyards. It was the very symbol of northern endurance. The Stark lineage stretched back to Bran the Builder, the legendary founder of both Winterfell and the Wall. Ned grew up under the shadow of this legacy. From a young age, he learned that to be a Stark was to be more than noble. It was to embody the harsh truth. Ned was the second son of Lord Rickard Stark. His siblings were Brandon, his older brother, fiery and brash; Lyanna, wild and independent; and Benjen, the youngest, still clinging to childhood when tragedy would claim them all. Where Brandon was quick to anger, Ned was quiet and reflective. His strength lay not in passion, but in restraint. Lyanna, in contrast, reminded many of Arya in later years, spirited, fearless, and unwilling to bow to expectation. These contrasts within his family helped shape Ned's calm, balanced nature. His steadiness in the face of chaos, his commitment to duty even when passion tugged at his heart, and the unshakable belief that integrity was worth more than power. Chapter 2. The Vale and Brotherhood with Robert. As part of a fostering tradition, Ned was sent to the Vale of Arryn, where he grew under the tutelage of Lord Jon Arryn, alongside another ward, Robert Baratheon. The two boys could not have been more different. Robert was large, boisterous, and lived for the thrill of combat and feasting. Ned, leaner and more reserved, approached life with solemnity. Yet despite these differences, they became as close as brothers. Robert would later call him his truest friend, and Ned carried that bond with a loyalty few men could match. Life in the Vale tempered Ned into a man of discipline and duty. Jon Arryn instilled in him lessons of leadership and honor. At the Eyrie, he also learned patience, for the Vale was a land of mountains and desolation, demanding calm endurance. Little did Ned know that these years of peace were preparing him for the storm that was to come. Chapter 3. Robert's Rebellion. The tranquility of the Vale ended when Prince Rhaegar Targaryen allegedly abducted Lyanna Stark. To the hot-blooded Robert, this was unforgivable. To the Stark family, it was a tragedy that would spiral into war. Brandon Stark, Ned's elder brother, rode to King's Landing demanding Lyanna's return. In response, King Aerys II, the Mad King, brutally executed Brandon and their father Rickard. Rickard was burned alive while Brandon strangled himself in a cruel trap. In a single moment, Ned lost his father and brother. And thus, Robert's rebellion had begun, and Jon Arryn called his banners in defiance of the Mad King. When Aerys demanded the heads of Robert and Ned, Jon refused, proclaiming instead open rebellion. For Ned, the war was not only about a sister, it was vengeance for his murdered kin. He became Lord of Winterfell overnight, inheriting the burdens of leadership amidst fire and blood. Ned marched beside Robert in countless battles. He fought at Gulltown, the Battle of the Bells at Stony Sept, and most decisively, the Battle of the Trident, where Robert slew Rhaegar with a crushing blow from his warhammer. But while Robert was hailed as the victorious warrior, Ned bore the quiet weight of command. He marched tirelessly, enduring mud, hunger, and death, always driven by a sense of obligation to family and to the realm. It was during the rebellion that Ned wed Catelyn Tully, a marriage that had originally been arranged for Brandon. Though their union began as duty, Catelyn and Ned grew into a bond of mutual respect and love. Through their marriage, Ned gained not only a wife, but the alliance of House Tully, strengthening the cause against the Mad King. Chapter 4. The Tower of Joy. After Robert's victory at the Trident and the sack of King's Landing, Ned turned south in search of Lyanna. His path led him to the Tower of Joy, guarded by three of the most legendary knights of the Kingsguard, Sir Arthur Dayne, Sir Oswell Went, and Sir Gerald Hightower. What followed was one of the most mythic battles in Westerosi history. The fight was brutal. Ned's companions fell one by one, until only he and Howland Reed remained. Sir Arthur Dayne fought with Dawn, his ancestral blade cutting through men with unmatched skill. Ned himself would have died had it not been for Howland's intervention. At last, Ned entered the tower to find Lyanna lying in a bed of blood, her life slipping away. She placed her newborn son in Ned's arms, whispering the words that would haunt him forever. "Promise me, Ned." That promise was Jon Snow. The boy was the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna, and if Robert learned the truth, the child would be killed. Ned carried the secret in silence, raising Jon as his illegitimate son to protect him. He bore the shame of infidelity in the eyes of his wife and bannermen, all to keep his sister's last request. Chapter 5. Lord of Winterfell. Returning to the north, Ned assumed his duties as Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North. Unlike Robert, who reveled in the spoils of victory, Ned returned to duty and quiet governance. He raised his children, Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon, and Jon, with lessons of honor, duty, and resilience. Each child carried a piece of him, though their paths diverged. Ned believed that the man who passes the sentence must swing the sword, a principle he lived by when he executed deserters of the Night's Watch. This act was not cruelty, but responsibility. He also taught his children the Stark words, "Winter is coming." To Ned, this was more than a family motto. It was a philosophy, a reminder that hardship is always on the horizon, and preparation is the key to survival. He also managed the political dynamics of the North. He kept the loyalty of houses like Manderly, Karstark, and Umber, and he took Theon Greyjoy as a ward after Balon Greyjoy's failed rebellion. Though Theon was a hostage in truth, Ned treated him with fairness, a decision that would later echo in betrayal and tragedy. Chapter 6. Hand of the King. Years later, King Robert rode north to Winterfell with a royal procession, asking Ned to serve as Hand of the King after the mysterious death of Jon Arryn. Despite his reluctance, Ned accepted out of loyalty to his old friend. In King's Landing, however, Ned found himself a wolf among lions. The court was filled with deceit, ambition, and intrigue. Ned uncovered the truth of Queen Cersei Lannister's children. They were not Robert's heirs, but born of incest with her twin brother Jaime. In his honor, Ned confronted Cersei, giving her the chance to flee with her children before Robert discovered the truth. But Robert's sudden death left the Lannisters in control, and Ned isolated. Peter Baelish, whom Ned thought an ally, betrayed him. Guards turned against him, and Ned was thrown into the Black Cells. Catelyn's capture of Tyrion had already stoked tensions, and Robb Stark called the banners of the North. War was inevitable. Chapter 7. The Fall of Ned Stark. In his cell, Ned wrestled with his conscience. Varys visited him, offering a chance to save his daughters if he confessed to treason. For the sake of Sansa and Arya, Ned abandoned his honor and agreed to falsely confess. Yet his sacrifice was in vain. The young King Joffrey, arrogant and cruel, defied counsel and ordered Ned's immediate execution. In the great Sept of Baelor, before the eyes of thousands, including his daughter Sansa, Eddard Stark was beheaded. The crowd gasped, the North mourned, and Westeros was forever changed. His death shattered the illusion of safety, proving that even the most honorable man was not immune to the cruelty of the Game of Thrones. Chapter 8. Legacy and the Stark Children. Though Ned's life ended in tragedy, his legacy endured through his children. Robb rose as king in the North, driven by his father's sense of justice. Arya carried Ned's stubborn will and independence, becoming an assassin who shaped the fate of kingdoms. Sansa learned the patience, resilience, and quiet dignity of her father, surviving the cruelest courts. Bran became the three-eyed raven, transcending humanity itself to hold the memory of the world. Rickon embodied innocence, whose fate was sealed in the chaos that followed, and Jon Snow, Ned's bastard in name but nephew in truth, embodied his uncle's greatest lesson. Honor may cost a man everything, but it gives him meaning. Jon's choices echoed Ned's at every step, from the Wall to the war against the dead. In the end, Ned's promise to Lyanna preserved a bloodline that would shape the final war for humanity's survival. Chapter 9. Ned Stark's symbolism. Ned Stark's life was not about victories or crowns. It was about the struggle to remain honorable in a world that punished honor. His refusal to play the Game of Thrones led to his downfall, yet it also immortalized him as a symbol of integrity. Where others schemed and betrayed, Ned stood as a rock, unyielding, steady, and true. His story reminds us that in Westeros, nobility is not about titles, but about choices. Winter is coming was his creed, and in the end, it was also his warning that darkness always looms, and survival requires strength, unity, and sacrifice. This concludes the expanded, complete lore of Eddard Ned Stark. His life, though cut short, reshaped the history of Westeros and left a legacy that endured long after his death. Ned Stark's tale is one of sacrifice, honor, and the heavy price of doing what is right. Though his life was cut short, his legacy lived on through his children and the promises he kept. In the end, Ned was more than just a lord. He was a symbol of integrity in a world without mercy. Winter is coming, and his memory still warns us of it. If you enjoyed this complete lore of Ned Stark, make sure to subscribe for more journeys through the history and legends of Westeros. And let me know in the comments, who should I cover next?